audible sigh. Can you guess why we're talking about this week? So yes, as bad as it was, what happened at WWE World Wrestling Entertainment WrestleMania 2 WrestleMania Backlash is no new thing. Wrestling's been trying to borrow some of the shine of movies, its much cooler older entertainment brother, for decades. Hell, the entire main event of only the second ever SummerSlam was built around Hulk Hogan fighting Zeus, the main villain from Hulk's new movie No Holds Barred. And it didn't stop there. Triple H with his hilarious Robo poncho at Mania 31. Cool, Triple H. Cool. To Hellboy showing up to wrestle in All Japan Pro Wrestling in 2019. There's no chill in this business. Wrestling will show its ass at the mere sniff of cross-promotion, and some movie collaborations haven't been terrible. The Hugh Jackman ones are the only ones, and all the others, oh no, oh no. I'm Adam, hailing from partsFUNknown, and here are the 10 worst movie tie-ins in wrestling history. Check back after the list for a message about Surfshark, where I'll show you how to do a promotional spot with a bit of goddamn class. Number 10, Army of the Dead. Let's get it over with, shall we? What a load of undead f***ing bollocks. And genuinely, the only bad thing on the card. Seriously, Backlash might just have been the best WWE pay-per-view of the pandemic. Hot take. Were it not for the fact that to shield big Dave Bautista's big new zombie heist movie Army of the Dead, WWE went all zombie. WWE spliced zombies into the Thunderdome crowd. You know what? If they'd left it at that, that's borderline charming. Wouldn't be the first time webcam footage of a slavering cretin appeared in that crowd. Not anyone who watches partsFUNknown, obviously. You're all great. But alas, no. WWE had bigger plans for the night. For a lumberjack match between The Miz, who was WWE champion 3 months ago, remember that, and Damian Priest, who seems to be WWE's current pop culture liaison for some reason, wrestled with a bunch of actors in zombie makeup around the ring, and The Miz sold it, and I hate that they made him do it, and I hate that the main wrestling company in the world is written in crayon. John Morrison did some parkour before getting, checks notes, killed and eaten, and then The Miz lost the match before getting killed and eaten. Damian Priest won, but had to shoot the Army of the Dead logo into the ceiling. What happened to you, Damian Priest? You used to be cool. Number 9, Shaft. And speaking of cool, who's the cat that won't cop out when there's danger all about? It's Shaft. Whenever anyone tries to tell you that WWE was cooler in the Attitude Era, point them in the direction of the June 15th, 2000 episode of SmackDown and a storyline that ran throughout the episode of Patterson and Briscoe searching New York for Crash Holly and his hardcore title. Who does Crash run into but John Shaft and his woman, who is the only one who understands this complicated man, John Shaft. Yes, that's real Samuel L. Jackson playing fictional John Shaft talking to real/fictional Crash Holly, and man, it's weird. Anyway, Shaft agrees to be Crash's bodyguard, delivering a weak slap to Patterson and Briscoe, and what better way to promote a movie about a cool dude with attitude than having him mixing it up with the f***ing Stooges? Has wrestling ever been cool? Seriously though, guys, it might not have ever been cool. Number 8, The Wrestler. This is complicated. So The Wrestler, starring ancient wooden lion Mickey Rourke, is a somber movie about an industry that in its heyday left people physically spent, washed up and addicted to adrenaline at best and dead at worst. It brought Roddy Piper to tears when he watched it because he recognized the wreckage that the business used to leave in its wake, which makes it super weird that WWE leapt in to help promote the bleakest possible look at their world, and did so by having Chris Jericho smack the shit out of 3 old wrestlers, including Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 25, only for a not real wrestler, Mickey Rourke, to hop into the ring wearing his "So You Want to Start Taking Peyote in the Desert" starter kit and do his best Shane McMahon impression at Y2J. On the surface, a heartwarming tale about celebrities being better at fighting than trained athletes, but tonally, it's real bleak. Like if the guy who made Super Size Me screened the film's premiere at the world's biggest McDonald's. Number 7, Naked Gun. Oh, some of you are going to disagree with me on this, and I can kind of see why. The Undertaker versus Faker storyline heading into SummerSlam 1994 was a big play of ham and cheese, but it was a kind of new generation silliness that gives people a nostalgic twinge. Going back to rewatch it though, it's pretty bad, sorry about that. So the story in brief, at the Royal Rumble 94, the man with the funereal disease fought Yokozuna in a casket match in which he died and ascended to heaven. Yes, Undertaker vanished for months before WWE started a storyline of people seeing the dead man at, I don't know, the deli, bringing in none other than Frank Drebin of the Naked Gun movies to help crack the case, just in time to promote Naked Gun 33 1/3 that had come out earlier in the year. Cue Leslie Nielsen looking for Taker backstage at SummerSlam and lots of subpar Naked Gun one-liners that honestly aren't as good as you remember. Leslie Nielsen holds up a closed briefcase, so he says, "The case is closed," and that's it. That's the whole joke. Number 6, See No Evil. Kane is genuinely one of the best and from all accounts nicest wrestlers to have ever laced up a pair of boots, but oh man, he's waded through his fair share of slop in his career. One of the big red machine's big red mistakes was the May 19th storyline, the entire point of which was to promote the WWE Studios horror movie See No Evil, which premiered on Yeah, you guessed it. It was after Mania 22 and Kane started to become mentally fixated on May 19th, the date his family perished in a fire. Anyone who mentioned it to him would get a knuckle supper for their trouble, and oh god, this storyline ran for 2 months. At Backlash 2006, an unraveling Kane fought Big Show when May 19th began to play over the sound system. The source of this spookery pookery turned out to be an imposter Kane, and look at that wig. Poor Luke Gallows. When they roll you out in a wig that looks like Bon Jovi on a humid day, your angle does not stand a chance. At Vengeance 2006, Kane fought fake Kane, was beaten by him for some awful reason, and then WWE just canned the gimmick the next day, having fake Kane being thrown out of the arena. No. Number 5, Nightmare on Elm Street. Of course, it's not just WWE that's attempted to suckle at Hollywood's withered, gangrenous teat. Even down in Memphis, one of the most highly regarded territories in its day, and Jerry Lawler's vaunted kingdom, they weren't above a bit of naff shit to try and shift some tickets via recognizable intellectual property. Step right up, Doug Gilbert and his gimmick, Nightmare Freddy, a flagrant flaunting of copyright law that New Line Cinema had nothing to do with. A notable villain and terror of the schoolyards everywhere, Jerry Lawler could occasionally be seen with Freddy, who scared other wrestlers with his big, dumb rubber mask. But he also then had to take off his finger knives when the match started. So why are you cowering from him, Buddy Landell? What's he gonna do other than call you a bitch? Which, as we know, is the cruelest insult in wrestling. Oh, and also a Jason ripoff gimmick called Jason the Terrible wrestled down there as well, because of course he bloody did. Freddy and Jason would take their shtick on the road to Japan, where footage of a Freddy versus Jason match can be found from 1992, over 10 years before the actual Freddy versus Jason movie came out. Number 4, Chucky. Poor Rick Steiner, you don't deserve this. They shouldn't have made you talk to the puppet. So WCW was heading into Halloween Havoc 98, and after years of stomping on the WWF in the ratings, the wheels had come off, and come off hard. To boost pay-per-view buys, just spent a fortune on bringing in the Ultimate Warrior to rekindle a feud with Hogan, mostly by hiding in his f***ing mirror. And the Steiner brothers, one of the most dominant teams of the 90s, had been feuding amongst each other for most of the year ever since Scott turned on Rick back at Super Brawl. What was the best way to hype the upcoming match between the two brothers at Halloween Havoc? Why, that would be by having Rick Steiner get into a war of words and lose against Chucky. Yes, the serial killer doll, Chucky, who cussed him out while promoting Bride of Chucky, and it's so sad. Rick challenged the doll to come down to the ring and fight, is promptly ignored, and then made fun of for about 3 horrible minutes while the crowd wondered what might be happening over on Vince's channel right about now, which, by the way, was the episode of Raw where Austin filled Vince's Corvette with cement, which is slightly more badass than being teased by a fictional puppet. Number 3, The Goods. Right now, Raw is bad. It is a bad TV show. It's been bad for a while, but somehow it's still not as bad as the guest host era of Raw, which was unwatchable. For those of you who are lucky enough to not be watching Raw at the time, and bloody hell, I sure wasn't watching at the time, from mid-2009 to 2010, every week a new celebrity would host Raw, often to promote a TV show or movie, and it was nearly all horribly written, cheesy wank. Imagine every week being Zombie Week. That's what it was like. WWE is a baby show for babies. Bob Barker was good, the Muppets were good, and that's it. MacGruber turning up and murdering R-Truth with explosives was bad. No, for real, R-Truth died that day. The A-Team showing up and chokeslamming Virgil was bad. The Three Stooges segment is one of the worst ever, and actually happened in 2012 when wrestling was starting to get a little better, which terrified everyone. And then there's Piven, Jeremy Piven, who turned up to host Raw with Ken Jeong to promote a movie no one remembers called The Goods. He stunk up a bunch of segments, infamously called SummerSlam the Summerfest, before getting roughhoused by John Cena late in the night, and wrestling is the worst. Stop watching it, and many did for a long time. Number 2, Robocop. Oh, no. The original prototype. Robocop is a very famous wrestling embarrassment, so I'll try and keep it as brief as I can. Robocop 2 was released in 1990, and I don't know how much money the producers threw at WCW, but goddamn, they took one of their pay-per-views, Capital Combat, and marketed the entire thing around the fancy metallic gentleman. The full title of the pay-per-view was Capital Combat: The Return of Robocop, implying that Robert Cop was an old friend of the promotion. In fact, he was an old friend of Sting. Makes sense, both big heroic idiots running on basic. Sting was feuding with the Horseman, who attacked him and bundled him into a cage that was at ringside. Out came Robocop, called totally straight by Jim Ross, who ripped the cage door off its hinges. So yeah, that's dumb. That's real dumb, but a bit of context to explain why WCW fans hated it so much. See, 1989, the year before, is often regarded as one of the greatest years in WCW history. That was the year that saw shows like Chi-Town Rumble and the much acclaimed Steamboat vs. Flair feud reach its peak. To go from that, still one of the highest regarded wrestling feuds ever to Robocop was seen as a huge slap in the face to WCW, who have always been more famously into traditional wrestling than cheesy pop culture crossovers, which makes this last one all the funnier. Number 1, Ready to Rumble. I mean, you knew it was coming. They put the belt on fucking Dewey. I mean, you knew it was coming. On April 7th, 2000, Bad Movie Ready to Rumble, about 2 hapless dorks who tried to help Oliver Platt, aka the lawyer from the West Wing, become WCW World Heavyweight Champion, was released in theaters. 2 weeks later, to help promote the movie, David Arquette, the lead actor from Ready to Rumble, became WCW World Heavyweight Champion, pinning Eric Bischoff, who wasn't the champion of course, in a match alongside DDP, Arquette's best friend and top babyface, but also top heel in the Ready to Rumble movie to make it extra confusing for the mainstream audience WCW was trying to attract. And to be fair, Arquette didn't want to do it. None of the wrestlers want to do it, but hell, the title had already been vacated 4 times that year already. Stop, he's already dead. GIF. Arquette won the title, filmed some skits in a Hollywood backlot where everyone made fun of him for being the champion. Cool, thanks for that, Kurt Russell. And the whole thing came to a head at Slamboree in a stipulation officially called a Ready to Rumble cage match, which took place using the triple-decker cage from the climax of the movie. So Arquette turn up in Spider-Man villain stripper cosplay, turn heel because Swerve, and basically hand the belt to Jeff Jarrett as viewership crashed and burned like Canyon being thrown from the cage. Hey, you've just finished watching one of our lists. We super appreciate that, and now you're probably going to be served a lot of videos because of your viewing history. Sometimes it feels like the internet's following us around, knowing too much about us, like DDP following The Undertaker's wife. Careful there, the internet. You're about to get buried at King of the Ring. Whether you're using US Netflix in the UK to watch classic Twilight Zone episodes, or in the US you want to watch His Dark Materials on iPlayer, Surfshark VPN secures your data with uncrackable encryption, secure VPN protocols, and maintains a strict no-logs policy that prevents companies from logging their users' data. It's not just about privacy, it's about safety too, as Surfshark automatically blocks more than 1 million known malicious websites, phishing methods, and other threats. Get out of here, DDP. Browse securely and safely with Surfshark. Try it today at surfshark.deals/jamthatjam. Enter promo code jamthatjam for 83% off and 3 months for free. Link at the top of the description for more details. Oh, and one more thing, jam that jam. And that's our list. What's your least favorite bit of wrestling cross promotion that you can remember? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and share this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to partsFUNknown for more silly wrestling content. Jam that jam.